Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? Okay, everybody's talking about it. They're talking about what they want to do with the Iraqi dinar. As usual, any mention of the dinar, any mention of the currency would definitely get the community buzzing, if you get my drift. Before we get started, hit the thumbs up button. If you are not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, go check out our friends over at Money Metals Exchange. The link is down below in the description. If you're a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and you will get a free half ounce of silver. A quick reminder to everybody that we do have a Facebook group with the same name as the YouTube channel, Pimpy's Investment Chat. Come on over there and join us. The link is down below in the description. Or you can just do a search in groups by name, Pimpy's Investment Chat. Come join us. It's free to do so. Over here, we do talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as other foreign currency investments. It's free to join. Come join us. Alrighty, so here we go. The article. Government officials. Iraq is not thinking of floating the currency at the moment. They're sure doing a lot of talking about what they want to do with the Iraqi dinar. If I didn't know any better, if we didn't have an issue with establishing the government and getting the budget out, we'd be a whole lot closer to the rate change happening with the Iraqi dinar. You can see right here it says, a government official confirmed on Wednesday that Iraq is not considering floating the currency currently, indicating that the flotation at the present time will threaten the collapse of the country's economy. Now, the last time this got brought up, I said the same thing. For those who don't know what a floating currency is, a floating exchange rate is a regime where the currency price of the nation is set by the forex market based on supply and demand relative to other currencies. This is in contrast to a fixed exchange rate in which the government entirely or predominantly determines the rate. So we know right now that the Iraqi dinar is on a fixed rate. A floating exchange rate is one that is determined by supply and demand on the open market. So in other words, the market will set the exchange rate. So if there's a huge demand for the Iraqi dinar with investors, and I would imagine once it hits the Forex, you would see people scurrying over to it, it would definitely change the Iraqi dinar's exchange rate. It would increase it. A floating exchange rate doesn't mean countries don't try to intervene and manipulate their currency price, since governments and central banks regularly attempt to keep their currency price favorable for international trade. That's different though. You have a floating rate, which the market determines. You have a fixed rate in which the central bank and the government make the determine on the rate. But then you have what's called a dirty float. And that's when the bank can interfere like they're talking about here. That's called a dirty float. A fixed exchange rate is another currency model, and this is where the currency is pegged or held at the same value relative to another currency. In this case, it'll be United States dollar. Floating exchange rate became more popular after the failure of the gold standard and the Bretton Woods Agreement. So right now, Iraq's currency is pegged to ours. It's not floating. Once it floats, though, it should be a free-for-all. I'm curious to see how the Iraqi dinar is going to handle being on the Forex market. The official said in an interview with the news, the rentier nature of the Iraqi economy makes it difficult to float the Iraqi currency, and therefore Iraq is not currently thinking of floating it. The official, who asked not to be named, added, now this paragraph here, it caught my attention because of what they say. Listen here, it says, access to the hard currency in Iraq comes mostly from oil exports, which is in the hands of the government and the local markets is circulating for it and does not bring this currency, and therefore its flotation will threaten the Iraqi economy with collapse because it will increase demand for it in exchange for limited supplies. So if I didn't know any better, it almost sounds like they don't have enough Iraqi dinars to cover the demand for it if it does go to a float. That would be nice. Think supply and demand. If a lot of people want the Iraqi dinar and there's not enough of it, what's going to happen? They're just going to keep increasing the value of the Iraqi dinar exchange rate. That would be awesome for us if it did go to a float and that was the problem. But what they're talking about is what I mentioned before in another video. The float would hurt the country at the moment. At the moment. He also indicated that floating the currency without diversifying the economy will have negative repercussions on the purchasing power of the Iraqi consumer, especially the middle and poor groups, adding that the float is on the table with the government in the long run because of its importance in stimulating the production process in the country. It is noteworthy that some officials talk from time to time on the necessity of floating the currency and liberalizing it to preserve the hard currency reserves with the central bank. They're saying there's not enough Iraqi dinars for it to be on the forex because of supply and demand. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't have a problem with that. If it didn't affect the Iraqi people directly, man, I would say throw it out there. That'd be awesome. If that many people want to invest in Iraqi dinar and it causes our exchange rate to increase in value, I'm sure, like a lot of you, I wouldn't fuss too much about that. I'd be more than happy to accommodate those who want to pay more for my Iraqi dinar. See, when you read this article, it really makes it worse what's going on in Iraq. It just is more upsetting. This deadlock with forming a government is really just stifling the growth and potential of the Iraqi dinar. You need a stable government? Not there. You don't even have a government. You need a stable economy. The article said the economy was strong and stable, but it's not. You don't even have a budget, so how can the economy be stable? Revenue is not an issue for Iraq, as we are well aware. The country has to be safe and secure. There's uprisings and protests and talk of civil war. All these work against Iraqi dinar. You know, right before this election, things seem to be well on its way down the best path we could possibly go. United Nations Council's Chapter 7, Iraq was done with. They had taken care of a lot of their debt. They had met the qualifications to be released. In addition to that, they're being expedited through the WHO organization. Al-Qademi had implemented the reform papers, the white papers. Iraq was on track. Money was about to be invested into the private and public sectors. They were finding alternative ways to generate revenue away from the oil market. Not to mention the fact that the cost of buying oil had increased, which helped benefit Iraq, who is making a ton of money right now selling oil. This is the one thing that Iraqi dinar investors are frustrated with all the time. Every time it seems like we're starting to get to where we need to be, then there's always some kind of delay, some kind of reason why the thing is not increasing. There's always something that pops up that keeps the Iraqi dinar exchange rate from increasing in value. If it ain't one thing, it's another. If it isn't ISIS coming into the country, taking it over, then it's a coronavirus. It's like one thing after another. And now, look where we are. We can't even form a government. You have Sauder's group versus Maliki's coordinating framework group. It's just one thing after another. The reason why people don't give up their dinar is because you know the potential is there. Now, I'm not going to go out on a limb and talk like other people do, saying, $2, $5, $15. I've heard so many ridiculous exchange rates, it's not even funny. I still think it'll go up in increments, but if the country can get their act together, it'll go up much, much quicker than you think. Anyways, that's it for now. Let me know what you think. Floating rate, man, I would love to see that. That means Iraqi dinar would be on the Forex. It's not there currently, but that would definitely put it on the Forex. We would really see then what the true value of the Iraqi dinar is, because it'd be dictated by the market. Hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out my channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. That's it for now. I'm out.